Welcome once again to your weekly update from the city of New Hope. Time again to chat with the Mayor Kathi Hemken to find out what you need to know in the city of New Hope. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. Just fine. This has got to be the hottest week of the summer.
It's going to be toasty. I think the pool will be busy, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And there's other things to do in the city that we hopefully can help you get on your calendar. But let's go through some of the things that are happening. And we want to go out to Meadow Lake first and talk about the management plan there. Mayor, what's the latest? How is that testing going along?
Well, the Ulm treatment is done, and so is the curly leaf pondweed treatment. And now what they'll do is they'll wait a week or so and they'll start testing probably every week or every other week. And that's done by the Department of Natural Resources. And they come out and test the water to see how that's working. It doesn't look too scummy at the moment, but it's so dry. And there's so many cattails now because it's been so dry. But they'll keep checking the water to see how we're doing.
Throughout our update today, we're going to talk a few times about the area around 42nd and 169. Let's begin on 169, Mayor, and talk a little bit about the noise walls. How is that progressing?
Well, we're getting a new noise wall from Bass Lake Road to 62nd. So the DNR, not the DNR, the Highway Department came in and cut down all the trees that needed to be cut down. They removed or relocated the residential utilities that needed to be done. So they should start that probably the first week in August, depending on the weather. Now, I don't know if that means hot or that means rain, but that should be done. And just for people's notification, they have money to put in new noise walls, but they don't have any money to fix the ones they have. So the noise wall south of that looks pretty shabby. And in places they need to replace some boards, we keep calling them and they say, well, we don't have any money to fix them. Only money to put them in, I guess.
All right. Let's move ahead to community development, talk about a few things that are going on. The first is the Rave Awards, and now we switch phases here to the phase of judging.
Yeah, thank you so much to all those folks that either nominated themselves or nominated somebody else. On the 25th of July, the team will go out to those homes and look at the renovations they've done either inside or outside, and then they'll pick winners.
Next update is we're encouraging you to get your golf clubs out for late September. It is another round of a great tournament that has a great tradition. Give us more information about this outing at that beautiful course right behind you.
This is the 26th annual. It's with the Chamber of Commerce in the city of New Hope, and they have this golf tournament on September 22nd. I believe it's $50 to play. It's 9 holes. It starts at noon. It'll be a shotgun start. And there's all kinds of prizes that they give out, and there's just prizes for showing up in some cases. So it usually fills up pretty quickly. So if you're interested in doing that, you don't have to have a foursome. You can just be a single if you want, okay, but you need to get signed up. Now, the easiest way to do this, there's a big, long website. There's a guy named Jeff Elger that works at the city. You can simply call Jeff, tell him you want to sign up, and he'll get you signed up. It's a whole lot easier than trying to figure out how to put that website in. He'll put it in for you.
Sounds great. All right, you see that number at the bottom of the screen, 763-531-5119. And along with the golf, Mayor, I know there's always great food as well. So not only some exercise, but a great meal.
Well, there's a place called Fugo's, I believe. We had them last year.
Okay. Lots
and lots of really good meat. They just donate this. And they come in with their big trucks. You know, it's worth $50 just to come for the lunch.
That's right.
It is. And there were a lot of people last year that just came for the lunch. They didn't play very much golf, but they came for that really good food.
Good reason to come out. That again is September 22nd. We'll talk more about that. All right, let's head to scattered site housing, update you on some properties around the city. The first is 42nd and Boone. What's the latest on that corner?
So the walls are up. They've wrapped it in insulation. They're putting in the windows this week. That's going on the market for $469. And once that gets finished, they'll start on the one on the north side, but they won't until that one's entirely finished.
All right, here's another picture of another property that's being worked on, 5306 Rhode Island, and everything about buttoned up there.
Well, they got the sod in. They're watering it like crazy. That's on the market for $579. So if you're looking for a house in New Hope, check those two out.
Last property is 5802 Boone, and the great news here is that the property is empty at this point.
It's gone. Oh my goodness, those poor neighbors. I drove over and some of the neighbors came out to thank me because it's a really big lot. And I noticed they were clearing all the junk away and all the, from the demolition of the house. But there's one big, beautiful tree sitting right in the middle of the lot. Now, I don't know if they're going to try to save that or just exactly what they're going to do. But what happens now, once that's all cleaned out, we'll put either some seed down or we'll put something down so it just doesn't, the dirt just doesn't run in the street. And then we'll send out a request for bids from contractors to somebody that will bid on the land and build a house there. So we should see something before the end of the year there.
Fantastic. Business Networking Group, let's give you an update of some dates to put on your calendar, connect with other great businesses and organizations in the city. It looks like the next event is August 2nd, and the next couple are right there at City Hall.
Yep, August 2nd at 8:30, and that's going to be hosted by Opus Music Center, and that will be at City Hall. And then on September 6th at 2 o'clock, the Center for Energy and Environment, and that one will also be at City Hall. This is a great way to not only learn about these companies, these businesses, but also just to network and hear what's going on in the city and see if there's any services or products that your company needs.
One other business update to pass along. Mayor, I understand there is a new business in town. Tell us more.
Well, the name of it is Hands of Grace Massage, and it's at 4900 Highway 169 in Suite 103, and basically it's a massage therapy services.
Let's move on to the police department. Some updates here of things happening around the city and further out. And one is a great partnership that involves explorers and Boy Scouts. Tell us more about this partnership and the great work going on.
So one of our officers, Officer Callio, and a captain from Robbinsdale, who happens to be John Elder, met with some scouts. And what they're trying to do is combine the police explorers of Crystal, New Hope, and Robbinsdale, because the Explorer program in the police department has really been dwindling, and they're trying to think of some ways to get some of these young people into the Police Explorer program. And so these two police officers are working on that. I think that's just amazing.
Another officer that went out of the area to get some training and involvement was an officer going to the Hennepin County Marijuana Legislature advisory meeting. So again, remind us why this is necessary and what the city is looking to learn through these meetings.
Well, since they passed that law that marijuana would be legal, obviously we've all got a lot of questions where it's legal, so we can't really stop the sale of it, but we need to make sure that we're regulating it. And so we've got an officer going to the Capitol with other officers asking questions. How do we legislate this? How do we regulate this? What could the fines be? Where should we allow it? Where should we not? Just a lot of questions, and we want to make sure that we all have the same answers. So that's why we're sending a policeman over there to do that.
Very good. More to come on that. Let's go to Public Works, and this is the place to work if you like variety in your job, because they do about everything. Mayor, give us the list this past week. Where have these fine folks been from Public Works?
Sometimes I can't help but just smile, because it's really like having our own personal handyman team there. Besides the stuff they're already doing, I'm going to read the list. So they rebuilt a catch basin and a manhole. And then they collected water samples for the DNR, or the Department of Health. And then they finished pouring some cement at the police department. After they were done with that, they went to the pool and fixed a door handle on one of the bathrooms at the pool. And then they're out there doing, well, they replaced a swing at Elm Grove Park. And now they're out there trimming trees. And through all this, they're maintaining the city vehicles that need to be maintained. And they're watering plants at the rain garden.
How about
so
that?
these folks are just everywhere, and we thank them all for that.
Yes, amazing work that happens every week. Some other projects that they might be involved in and others in the city involved in a couple parks that we want to update you on. Meadow Lake Park and also Hidden Valley. What's happening in those two parks?
Well, in Meadow Lake, there were some tennis courts. They converted those to pickleball courts, and there's just some more maintenance that needs to be done on those pickleball courts. So they're out there doing that. And then at Hidden Valley, they have trails at that park, and they're redoing some of those trails.
All right, now to the roads, a few updates on some of the projects happening around the city. The first is Yukon Avenue in that area. What is the stage of that project?
Well, we have lots of water main breaks, but when they're fixing the street, that's the time to fix these. Instead of just patching them, they actually fix them so they don't do it again. So that's happening on Yukon between Aquila and 36th. And also they just put down the first course of blacktop on 37th and Virginia and Yukon, south of 33rd place. The other thing they're doing is pavement reclamation. And what they do is they have this machine that goes over the street and basically it takes that layer of blacktop off, grinds it all up. I don't know what they do with it after it's ground up. I think they probably put it back down. But they grind it all up. But the whole idea is so that you get to the subsurface, fix that, make sure that's nice and level, and then they'll start putting the roadway back on. So just a lot of stuff that happens. It seems like it should be easy, just like frosting a cupcake, but it's not quite that easy.
No, a lot of work under that ground. All right, let's head back to 42nd Avenue. We gave you a little update earlier. Let's first talk about the area away from 169. What's happening around that Boone Xylon Avenue right now?
Okay, so what they're doing with that is they're fixing the water main. So those folks have all got they're hooked up to temporary water. That temporary water is just as good as the water you had before. And everybody knows that New Hope water is really good. So it looks funny. It looks like there's a hose running, but you're not drinking out of the family water hose. This is really good water. And they temporarily hook them up until they get that fixed, and then they'll hook them back up to the main water.
Okay, and over on 169, just a couple blocks down, the progress continues there, and it looks like another big sign of progress is coming soon, a beam to go across that bridge.
Yeah, but first, they have that intersection on Boone and 42nd, that's going to be closed probably till the end of August.
Okay.
And there's so much work that needs to be done. It seems silly that they're doing so much on 42nd, but you can't get over the bridge, so this is probably the good time to do it.
Right.
Now, they tell me that they're going to try to set the beams for that bridge in early August. When they do that, of course, these big trucks come in with these beams, and they said, so they'll be closing 169 down entirely. I don't know when there'll be signs up that'll tell people, but if the sign says it's closed ahead, they mean it. It's closed ahead. So don't even try.
Good advice there. All right, let's go to Park and Rec. A lot to talk about here, as you might imagine, in the middle of summer. And if you've been by City Hall on some nights recently and heard some beautiful music, it's for a good reason. There's something great going on. Who's over there at the Performance Center and what's happening?
Well, I know two people that were there, you and I.
Me? Yes, it was fantastic.
I bumped into you there with my city manager. What they're doing is they're putting on the Sound of Music from Wednesday to Saturday, starts at 8 o'clock. I'm warning people, if they're going to go, they really need to get there early. Bring a chair to sit on or a blanket. It fills up really quick. There's some bleachers there in the back that help a little bit with the crowds, but there's a lot of people going to this. It's absolutely delightful.
I would agree.
It's about 2.5 hours.
Yep, it's a long show. My plan was to go set my chair down, have family stay there, run over to Hy-Vee, get dinner, come back, eat it while I waited the hour before the show started, just so we had a halfway decent seat, because you're right, it does fill up. Let's talk a little bit about those out on the field, and it looks like because of the weather, we have some rescheduling that has to be done.
Well, last Wednesday was a rainout for the men's softball tournament teams, and that was the last game of the season. So now they have to reschedule that last game, and then because of that, they're going to have to reschedule the playoffs. So they're busily trying to find not only fields, but umpires and all that other stuff that they need. So we'll get it done. It's just everything gets pushed out a week.
Got it. Another key component of Park and Rec is the city forester. We've got a phone number at the bottom of the screen that you can touch base with the forester for some good reasons here. 763-592-6763. Mayor, give us an update of what the forester is working on right now and how residents might interact.
Well, this is Sean. And so Sean has been tagging trees north of 49th or 49th and north of there. So if you have an emerald ash or you have an ash tree that you think is dead on the boulevard or on public property, not in your backyard. We can't take care of that in your backyard or your yard. But if it has not been marked, you might want to call Sean and tell him, especially if you're in a different area than that he hasn't got to. Now, the other thing Sean does is he's out doing weed inspections. So if you have a neighbor whose weeds look like they shouldn't be quite that long, feel free to call Sean. He keeps that all confidential, doesn't tell anybody who called, but he'll go out and find out why they've got weeds. Sometimes it's just a problem with the mower, or maybe the person that mows is sick. So he'll go out and see what he can do to help with that. He doesn't mow, by the way.
Gotcha. All right. And again, there's that phone number you can call to get a hold of Sean. One other thing they're working on is replacing some of those trees. But I understand with the harsh summer that we're having that some of those new trees are just having a tough time.
They are. You know, they put those trees in and they water them, but it's been so hot. So the river birch seems to be struggling a lot, and so is those sugar maples. So if you have one of those on your boulevard, it might be a big help to us, the city, or to you too, if you'd water them also. We don't know if all of them are gonna make it or not.
Yeah, it's been a hot summer. That means a lot of people at the aquatic park. We'll talk about that in a second, but still a lot of people not minding the heat and getting out to the golf course, and understand leagues continue, but it's almost into some of their tournament time.
It is. Well, the leagues do continue, but they're not all day. So it's best if you call to get a tee time. Don't just show up because it might be a league and you might not want to play. But we've been having a lot of people that are coming later in the day to play. It's a little bit cooler. And of course, the weekends are always good to play. And if you play a little bit later, that's a good thing too. But the course is really busy. And now's the time for tournaments to start. So they're trying to schedule those tournaments. Some are on weekends, some are during the day. So it's really important that you call and check.
All right, give them a call at the golf course. The ice arena continues to move along with a busy time, but I understand some of those training sessions for the high school skaters are coming to an end as well.
Yep, this is the last week for those training camps for all the high school hockey kids. But that doesn't mean these guys are not doing anything. So after that gets done, what they'll be doing is cleaning the glass where they can, reorganizing. We still have a couple men's groups that come in that play. I don't know if they've started the Sunday, Saturday, Friday, the Friday and Sunday skating yet. It's best to call and check on that. That should be starting soon though.
All right, and we'll look to keep people up to date as the summer rolls along. Last spot is that busy spot, the aquatic park, very busy, not only with the open swimming for the public to come in, but also some of the other things that happen, the water walking, the lap swimming, and also the tots. Remind us of those fun extra activities.
Well, the pool opens at noon. It's open from noon to 8. And so we wanted to find something to do before that. So we have adult lap swimming, and we have the adult water walking in the vortex pool. And those two things start at 9 and they go 9 to 11:45. Just if you've got a season pass, that's all covered. If you don't, I'm not sure what the cost is for the water walking or the lap swimming, but it's not a lot.
Okay.
And then the tot time, that's where you can bring your little ones, 0 to 5, and they play in the zero entry pool. That one I know costs $4, and it's 9:45 to 10:45. 9:45 to 10:45. The parent gets in free, but baby, it's a place for the kids to play without the other kids there.
Yeah.
It gets kind of crowded, and if you're a little person, you really need a little more space. So the 5th of August, and then the next one is the 19th of August.
All right,
For
so
the top time.
neat options for everyone at the aquatic park. Moving ahead to human resources, a couple items to update residents on. The first is you have a new employee at the city who is a new police clerk. Tell us the introduction.
We do. I met her this morning. She'll be working second shift. She's anxious to get started. So it's always nice when we bring in a new employee and they look around the city. They're so impressed at how wonderful it looks. So that's a good thing. Our CSO that we put the application on ended last week to get the applications in. We got 12 of them, and now they will score them, and then they'll go about to doing the interview to get us a new CSO.
All right, a couple final notes to pass along. We're going to give you the city's website here, newhopemn.gov, because that's the place to go if you haven't filled out the city survey yet. But I understand a number of residents already have taken advantage of it.
We have. We've got about 350 surveys in. And I have to tell you, I read every one of them. So if you have a comment, If there's something you think we can do better, put that in the comment page. And we actually read those. Now, you should have gotten one in your water bill. If you don't get a water bill because you live in an apartment or someplace that doesn't get a water bill, you can go online into the city's website under survey, or you can go at City Hall and get a copy of the survey. But it's important that not only that you get it, but that you fill it out and get back to us. So you have a little time yet, but it's one of those things we don't want you to just set it aside and forget about it. We really need that information.
Very good. All right. A couple final notes to pass along related to public safety. A sad note to pass along, the passing of one of the canines that served the city.
Yeah. We had a canine named Cody. Cody had been in service for quite a long time. He actually passed last week. So that's always a sad time. The police officer, the handler, and the dog become very close. So that's always a sad time for the whole police department when we lose a canine like that. So the other happy thing that's happening is United Night to Unite. That's the National Night Out. That used to be called, they call it Night to Unite now.
Right.
That's the first of August. You should register your party so that we know where they are. If you're interested in having somebody come by and visit the party, you need to get that on the registration form. We have police officers that go out with city council members that want to. We have the garbage trucks go out, the city service trucks go out. Sometimes the fire department goes out. So if you want someone to come and visit, you need to get that on that form. And I'll be seeing probably 10 to 12 parties that night.
Fantastic. All right. And then after that, the public safety folks get a little breather and then get right back at it with Safety Camp, August 15 through the 17. Again, who is that for and what's some of the fun that happens there?
Those are for kids going into the 3rd to the 5th grade. It's a 3-day event. It's pretty jam-packed with stuff. They go swimming a couple days. They learn all about all kinds of safety. Fire safety, electrical safety, traffic safety, bike safety. The kids really, really enjoy doing that. The cost, I believe, is about $50. Might be a little bit more than that. There is some help that you can get. Look in your In Motion in that brochure. It'll tell you if you don't have that anymore, bring a driver's license with you, go into City Hall, and City Hall will pay for half of the fee, and then you only pay for the other half. But you need to get those kids registered real quick because this fills up really fast.
Very, very popular. Mentioning In Motion, here is that copy that was sent out quite a few months ago. But this will be one of the last times, Mayor, I hold this one up because I understand things are moving ahead and we're already printing the next one.
I know. They're printing the fall and winter one. Good heavens.
Hard to believe.
Hard to believe. So that you should see that in your mail probably mid-August sometime. So that'll be going out. If you don't get one, or you want grandma to have one and lives in a different part of town, you can go into City Hall and pick up an extra one. One of the things we found last year, you can actually get a gift certificate from the city that can be applied to some of these programs. So if you wanted to give your grandchild kind of a fun little birthday or Christmas present, a gift certificate to a program run by the city would be really fun.
Fantastic.
It helps cut down the cost a little bit.
Yeah, great idea. And the In Motion always handy to have for these updates too, because in just a second, we'll have our calendar of events coming up. And some of those have more information in Motion. So keep that around as we give you these updates on a weekly basis. Mayor, thanks once again for all of your time today. Great to see you once again on that website, newhopemn.gov. You can find out many of the things we talked about today. Have a great week, Mayor. We'll talk to you again next week.
You too, Dave. See you then. Bye-bye.
Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.